Of glorious Ekush, says Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at a discussion marking International Mother Language Day.
একুশ আমাদের শিখিয়েছে মাথা নত না করা, একুশ আমাদের শিখিয়েছে মাথা উঁচু করে চলা।
Bangladesh's rights over maritime boundaries have been established following friendship to all foreign policy, says the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to hold a press conference at Gönabhavan tomorrow on her visit to Germany. The government will take every initiative to keep prices of commodities at a tolerable level during Ramadan, says Obaidul Qadir. BNP leaders are now under fire from partymen for not taking part in the election, and they will face public wrath if they announce any program during Ramadan, says Foreign Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood. Misinformation and false information must be challenged by true information, says State Minister for Information and Broadcasting Muhammad Ali Arafat. Israel intensifies bombarding Rafah as World Health Organization terms Gaza the Valley of Death after Israeli attacks. And in BPL cricket, Comilla Victorians to face Fortune Borishal, while Khulna are to meet Sylhet Strikers at Mirpur tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. This is News at 10. I'm Mahmoud Rahman. Those were the headlines. Let's move on now to the details.
বাংলার ছেলেরা, বাংলার মায়েরা, বাংলার কৃষক, বাংলার শ্রমিক, বাংলার বুদ্ধিজীবী যেভাবে সংগ্রাম করেছে, আমি কারাগারে বন্দী ছিলাম, ফাঁসি কাটতে যাবার জন্য প্রস্তুত ছিলাম, কিন্তু আমি জানতাম আমার বাঙালিকে কেউ দবায় রাখতে পারবে না, আমার বাংলার মানুষ স্বাধীন হবে।
Prime Minister and Awami League President Sheikh Hasina said that Bangladesh is moving forward with the ideals of Great Language Movement of 1952. No country can progress without ideals, and the Great Ekush has taught us this ideology, she said. Sheikh Hasina said this while addressing a discussion meeting organized by Bangladesh Awami League on the occasion of Mohan Shahid Dibosh and International Mother Language Day at the party office in city's Tejgaon area this afternoon. Paying respect to all the martyrs of the language movement, the Premier urged all to move forward worldwide with their heads high. The Awami League President noted that those who wanted to erase the history of the country's independence, distorting the truth, will gradually go to hell. The Bangalis will continue to hold their heads high in the world arena with their independent belief, and this is the reality, she added.
হাজার চেষ্টা করেও মিথ্যা অপবাদ ছড়িয়েও দেশে বিদেশে নানা তদবির করেও জনগণকে ঠেকাতে পারি, জনগণ স্বতঃস্ফূর্তভাবে ভোট দিয়েছে। এখন আবার শুনি তাদের বড় বড় কথা, আন্দোলন করে সরকার হটিয়ে দেবে। আর তার মধ্যে জামাত বিএনপি বুঝলাম, কিন্তু আমাদের কিছু বামপন্থী দল আছে, এখন তারাও লাফায়, তারাও আন্দোলন করবে, বিপ্লব করবে। হ্যাঁ, আমাকে হত্যার চেষ্টা বারবার করা হয়েছে, আমি যাতে ক্ষমতায় না আসতে পারি তার জন্য অনেক রকম চক্রান্ত হয়েছে। তারপর আস্তে আস্তে এই পঞ্চম দফায় এসে গেছি। আমাদের যারা তরুণ সমাজ তাদেরকে সেইভাবে নিজেদেরকে প্রস্তুত করতে হবে। এখানে ভোগে নয়, ত্যাগেই হচ্ছে সব থেকে বেশি আনন্দ এবং অর্জন, এ কথাটা মনে রাখতে হবে। আর সেটা শিখেছে আমাদের লাখো শহীদ, সেটা শিখেছে আমাদের ভাষা আন্দোলনের শহীদ, সেটা শিখে দিয়ে গেছেন জাতির পিতা বঙ্গবন্ধু শেখ মুজিব। কাজে তার আদর্শ নিয়ে বাংলাদেশ এগিয়ে যাবে, বাংলাদেশে আর কেউ পিছনে টানতে পারবেন না।
It was also addressed by Awami League Presidium members Sheikh Fazlul Karim Selim and Dr. Abdul Razak, Advisory Council member and Chairman of Subcommittee on Cultural Affairs Ataur Rahman, Dhaka South City Awami League President Abu Ahmed Mannafi, Dhaka North City President Sheikh Buzur Rahman, Dhaka District Awami League President Benzir Ahmed, and Bangla Academy Director General Poet Muhammad Nurul Huda. Awami League's Publicity and Publication Secretary Abdul Subhan Golab and his deputy Sayyid Abdul Awal Shamim moderated the discussion. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has stressed extracting marine resources from Bangladesh's vast maritime zones, maintaining friendly relations with the neighbouring countries to tap potential of the blue economy for the country's socio-economic advancement. The Premier made the remarks at a function marking the Golden Jubilee of enacting the law titled the Territorial Waters and Maritime Zones Act 1974 at Bangabandhu International Conference Centre in Dhaka this morning. She also urged the overseas companies to come up with investment to explore oil and gas resources in Bangladesh's maritime zones. Sheikh Hasina said conflicting situations are being seen in many areas across the globe, but there is no conflict in this region, she said. The zone is very safe as there is no mess with each other, she added. The Prime Minister said the Bay of Bengal is a part of the Indian Ocean and it is a very important marine way, as international business and trade have been continuing using this way since ancient times. She expressed her hope that this zone will remain peaceful for trade and commerce in the days to come.
একটি কথা আমাদের সবসময় স্মরণ রাখতে হবে, এই অঞ্চলটা কিন্তু সবসময় খুব নিরাপদ এবং এখানে কোনো কারোর সাথে কিন্তু কোনো দ্বন্দ্ব নেই এবং সেই প্রাচীনকাল থেকে বাণিজ্যের জন্য অত্যন্ত গুরুত্বপূর্ণ এবং একটি সামুদ্রিক পথ। কাজে আমরা সবসময় এটাই চাইবো যে আমাদের অঞ্চলে যে ব্যবসা বাণিজ্যটা চলে সেটা যেন কোনো সংঘাতপূর্ণ না হয়, কোনো দ্বন্দ্ব সৃষ্টি না হয়। আমরা চাই আমাদের দেশ আরো এগিয়ে যাবে, তবে আমাদের এর জন্য যথাযথ বিনিয়োগও প্রয়োজন। কাজে আমি আন্তর্জাতিক বিভিন্ন দেশ যারা বিদেশে বিনিয়োগ করতে চায় তাদেরকে আমরা আহ্বান করব যে আমাদের সমুদ্রের তেল গ্যাস উত্তোলনের জন্য আমরা ইতিমধ্যে আলাপ আলোচনা করছি, আমরা আন্তর্জাতিক টেন্ডারও দিয়েছি। কাজে সেগুলি আরো ভালোভাবে যেন আমরা উত্তোলন করতে পারি এবং অর্থনীতির কাজে লাগাতে পারি। সবাইকে আহ্বান করব আপনারা আসুন, বাংলাদেশে বিনিয়োগ করুন। আমাদের ভৌগোলিক অবস্থানে যারাই বিনিয়োগ করবেন তারা লাভবান হবেন এবং ব্যবসা বাণিজ্যের অপার সম্ভাবনা সুযোগ সৃষ্টি হবে। বর্তমানে অনেক জায়গায় সংঘাতপূর্ণ অবস্থান আছে, কিন্তু বাংলাদেশ শান্তিতে বিশ্বাস করে। আমরা যুদ্ধ চাই না, আমরা শান্তি চাই। শান্তি প্রগতির পথ দেখায়, উন্নতির পথ দেখায় আর জাতিকে অগ্রসরমান করেন, উন্নত জীবন দান করে। আমরা সেই লক্ষ্য নিয়ে কাজ করে যাচ্ছি। কাজে আমি এইটুকুই চাই যে সকলে আমাদের এই দেশ, যে দেশ আমরা লাখো শহীদের রক্তের বিনিময়ে অর্জন করেছি, সেই দেশ যেন আরো উন্নত করতে পারে।
And Chief of Naval Staff Admiral M. Nazmul Hasan spoke at the function. Secretary Maritime Affairs Unit at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Rear Admiral Retired Mohammad Khurshid Alam, presented the keynote speech. Later, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina visited different stalls of the maritime stakeholders at the BICC. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will address a press conference tomorrow to brief the media about the outcome of her recent three-day visit to Munich, Germany. An official release of the press wing of Prime Minister's office said the press conference will be held at Ganobhavan at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. The Premier went to Munich on February the 15th to attend the Munich Security Conference 2024 and returned home on February the 19th. During her stay in Munich, the Prime Minister attended the Munich Security Conference and held bilateral meetings with global leaders on the sidelines of the conference. The English version of the Egiye Jabe Bangladesh, a book titled Bangladesh Will Go a Long Way, written by President Mohammad Shahabuddin, has been published. Publisher of Agami Prokashoni, Osman Gani, and the editor-coordinator M. Abdul Alim handed over the book to the President at Bangabhavan this afternoon. President Mohammad Shahabuddin thanked all concerned for publishing the English version of his book. The President said that through this book the readers will be able to learn about Bangabandhu and the Great War of Liberation, the history of Awami League, the leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, the so-called corruptions about the Podda Bridge and the development of Bangladesh. President's Military Secretary, Major General S.M. Salahuddin Islam, Press Secretary Mohammad Joinal Abidin, Secretary Attached Mohammad Wahidul Islam Khan, and translator of the book Dulal al-Mansur were present. Earlier, newly appointed Bangladesh ambassador to Belgium and Luxembourg and also head of mission to European Union, Mahbub Hassan Saleh, called on President Mohammad Shahabuddin at Bangabhavan. During the meeting, the new envoy sought the President's cooperation in discharging his duties. President Mohammad Shahabuddin said Belgium, Luxembourg and the European Union are development partners of Bangladesh and the biggest export destinations. The President asked the new ambassador to work for strengthening cooperation and increasing the export of various Bangladeshi products. Secretaries to the President were present. Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anisul Haq has said the expansion of the judiciary through the inclusion of more judges and establishments of new courts is currently underway to alleviate the backlog of cases. The Law Minister informed this during the question-answer session at Jatiyo Shongshod today. The Shongshod session began in the afternoon with Speaker Dr. Shirin Sharmin Chaudhry in the chair. The Law Minister said the Sub-Registry Office and the Assistant Commissioner Land Office have been successfully linked within their respective administrative domains under the directive of the Prime Minister. Fisheries and Livestock Minister Abdur Rahman told Parliament that the number of registered fishermen across the country is about 18,03,500. He also informed that the government has a plan to produce foot and mouth disease FMD vaccine for livestock locally, as the current local vaccine market for FMD is estimated at around 1,500 crore taka in a year. Later, taking part in general discussion on Thanksgiving motion on President's speech, State Minister for Shipping Khalid Mahmood Chaudhry said various quarters had tried to foil the recent elections, but people across the country were united under the leadership of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and extended their support in favour of the development. Later, Speaker Dr. Shirin Sharmin Chaudhry adjourned the House till 10:30 a.m. on Sunday. Bangladesh ambassador to Belgium, Mahbub Hassan Saleh, made a courtesy call on Speaker Dr. Shirin Sharmin Chaudhry at the Parliament office today. During the call-on, they discussed various bilateral issues with Belgium, including strengthening friendship, trade and commerce. Dr. Shirin Sharmin Chaudhry said the government is working to increase trade and commerce between Bangladesh and the European Union, Belgium and Luxembourg. She said existing friendly relations between Bangladesh and EU countries will be strengthened further in future through bilateral visits of parliamentary friendship groups. Director of London-based Global Partners Governance, Matt Carter, made a courtesy call on Speaker Dr. Shirin Sharmin Chaudhry at the Parliament Secretariat today. During the call-on, they discussed various bilateral issues, including Democracy International, reserved women's seats in Parliament and women participation in Bangladesh parliamentary election. Awami League General Secretary and Road Transport and Bridges Minister Obaidul Qadir has said the government will take all kinds of initiatives for keeping the price of essential commodities at tolerable level in the month of Ramadan. He said this in a statement issued today. Criticising BNP's falsehood and misleading speech, Obaidul Qadir said BNP is making falsehood about the prices of daily necessities, though the government is trying to control the rising prices through facing the global challenges. The task force has already held meetings and opportunities of importing necessary goods have increased. In the statement, the Awami League General Secretary said one of the BNP leaders claimed that per capita income of the people of the country has not increased. Though the country's per capita income was $543 during the tenure of the BNP government in 2006, which has now increased to $2,765. Obaidul Qadir said country's per capita income has increased 5 times during the last 15 years. People of the country didn't eat 3 times a day during the regime of the BNP Jamaat government. Instead, Bangladesh has achieved food autarky and overall production of food grains increased several times. The Awami League General Secretary said BNP leadership are trying to mislead the people through representing false information as part of the anti-government movement. He said the countrymen showed a red card to the BNP through casting their votes in the 12th National Parliament election. BNP is still making a conspiracy after being rejected by the countrymen, Obaidul Qadir said. BNP is now a burden for democracy and the countrymen. Foreign Minister and Awami League Joint General Secretary Dr. Hassan Mahmood has said BNP's mistake by boycotting election has left their party in shambles, and the leaders of the party have come under fire from the workers. If they launch program in Ramadan, they will face the public rage. The minister said this in a briefing at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs today. Regarding Gaza, the foreign minister said that Bangladesh has very friendly relations with the United States, but the United States' veto of the Gaza ceasefire proposal in the UN Security Council is disappointing. He said not only the indiscriminate killing of women and children in Gaza, there is a systematic disruption of the supply of all basic needs, including water and electricity, attacks on hospitals, which is a clear violation of the International Human Rights Charter.
গাজায় যেই ঘটনা প্রবাহ সেখানে সত্যিকার অর্থে মানবতার বিরুদ্ধে অপরাধ সংঘটিত হচ্ছে এবং নারী ও শিশুদেরকে নির্বিচারে হত্যা করা হচ্ছে এবং এটি স্পষ্টত অর্থাৎ আন্তর্জাতিক আইন কানুনের লঙ্ঘন। আমরা কোনো জায়গায় যুদ্ধ চাই না, আমরা চাই যুদ্ধ বন্ধ হোক। নির্বাচন বর্জন করা এবং প্রতিহত করার যে ভুল সিদ্ধান্ত, সেই ভুল সিদ্ধান্তের কারণে আজকে পুরো দলটা ধাপাস করে পড়ে গেছে এবং সেখান থেকে এখন কোমর তুলে উঠতে পারবে কিনা, এই রোজা রমজানের মধ্যে যদি কর্মসূচি দেয়, এখন তাদের কর্মীদের তোপের মুখে, আর রমজানের মধ্যে কর্মসূচি দিলে জনগণেরও তোপের মুখে পড়বে ওরা।
Earlier, Saudi Arabia's ambassador to Dhaka, Esa bin Yusuf Al Duhailan, Egypt's ambassador Omar Mahi Eldin Ahmed Fahmi, and Australia's acting High Commissioner Nadia Simpson had a courtesy meeting with Foreign Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood. The diplomats praised Bangladesh's development progress and expressed interest in working with the government. Climate change, Rohingya issue, expansion of trade between the two countries, various issues related to bilateral interests, including agriculture, were discussed during the meetings. The President's spouse, Dr. Rebecca Sultana, urged Girl Guides to work to turn Bangladesh into a happy and prosperous Sonar Bangla, as dreamt of by Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. She made the call while addressing a program organized by Bangladesh Girl Guides Association, marking the World Thinking Day at Girl Guides Auditorium in the capital this morning. Advisor of Bangladesh Girl Guides Association, Zuena Aziz, National Commissioner Qazi Zebun Nessa Begum, Director General of Madrasa Education Directorate Habibur Rahman, and Chair of Asia Pacific Regional Committee Kempaka Emalin Binti Pahamin were present. President's spouse, Dr. Rebecca Sultana, praised the role of Girl Guides for the development and advancement of women. She called upon the guides to contribute as much as possible for building a sustainable world. State Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Mohammad Ali Arafat, has said that the government wants to challenge disinformation and misinformation with true information. The State Minister said this while giving an interview to journalists of various German media who are visiting Bangladesh at his Secretariat office in the capital today. Journalists of German media Richard Biel, Michael Stang, Susan Krautzmann, Aljosa Hartmann, Julia Theresa Held, Natalie Meroth and Benjamin Bernd Thomas were present. The State Minister said that some people criticize the government works for dishonest reasons, but the government welcomes constructive criticism. In response to a question about the Rohingyas, Mohammad Ali Arafat said Bangladesh has shown maximum sympathy to the Rohingyas. Bangladesh wants Rohingyas to return to their country with dignity. He said that the international community should continue to put pressure on Myanmar in this regard. Moving now to international news. The head of the World Health Organization called Gaza a death zone, lamenting health and living conditions that are inhumane and only getting worse. Speaking at a media briefing in Geneva, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus pointed out severe malnutrition has increased from less than 1% to more than 15% in the Palestinian territory. World Food Programme workers aren't safe enough to distribute supplies in the north, and the largest hospital in the south is besieged and barely functional. Meanwhile, an intense bombing campaign across Rafah city stretched into the early hours of this morning. The combined death toll of Israeli army bombardments of the Nusayrat refugee camp and the Zaytun neighborhood of Gaza city has risen to 19. 8 patients at Nasser Hospital have died after generators were shut off due to lack of fuel. Head of Gaza's government media office said residents of northern Gaza Strip have only animal feed to eat for the past 3 weeks. Britain's House of Commons descended into chaos on Wednesday over a motion calling for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. The chamber was due to debate and vote on a motion for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza by the Scottish National Party, SNP. Instead, in an unusual move, Speaker Lindsay Hoyle allowed a vote on a motion for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza by the main opposition, Labour Party. This sparked fury and shouts from the ruling Conservatives and the SNP. SNP head in the Commons, Stephen Flynn, branded the move as complete and utter contempt of his party. Faced with the outrage, Hoyle apologised, saying he had only intended to allow a wider debate on the issue. The motion was not officially voted on after the government said it would not participate in protest. Brazil criticized the paralysis of the UN Security Council on the wars in Gaza and Ukraine as it opened a G20 meeting Wednesday where the international community's deep divisions were on display. The outlook is bleak for progress on the thorny agenda of conflicts and crises gripping the planet as foreign ministers from the world's biggest economies gather in Rio de Janeiro for the Group of 20's first high-level meeting of the year. Opening the 2-day meeting, which featured U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Brazil's top diplomat Mauro Vieira said, "The explosion of global conflicts shows international institutions like the United Nations are not working." EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell, for his part, warned multilateralism is in crisis. A US-based company is set to attempt to land America's first spaceship on the moon in more than 50 years. The 6-legged robot Odysseus entered lunar orbit on Wednesday by utilizing its main rocket thruster for nearly 7 minutes in an orbital insertion maneuver, placing it in a circular orbit about 92 kilometers above the lunar surface. The Nova Sea Odysseus lander, built by Texas-based spaceflight company Intuitive Machines, is in lunar orbit and will try to land on the moon's South Pole region at 10:49 GMT on Thursday. On now to news of sports. Fortune Borishal will face Kumilla Victorians tomorrow in the first match of the day in BPL cricket at Mirpur. The match will start at 2 p.m. Bangladesh time. In the second match of the day, Sylhet Strikers will face Khulna Tigers tomorrow at 7 p.m. The Club Cup Hockey Tournament 2024 has begun in the capital today. Youth and Sports Minister Najmul Hasan Papon inaugurated the competition at Maulana Bhashani Hockey Stadium. Bangladesh Hockey Federation General Secretary Mominul Haq Saeed was present among others. Avahani Limited beat Ajax Sporting Club by 5-1 on the opening day. In another match, Dhaka Mariners Youngs defeated Bangladesh Police 2-0. A total of 6 teams are participating in the competition. To wind up the bulletin, here once again are the main points. Bangladesh will move forward with head high, imbued with the spirit of glorious Ekush, says Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at a discussion marking International Mother Language Day. Bangladesh's rights over maritime boundaries have been established following friendship to all foreign policy, says the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to hold a press conference at Ganabhavan tomorrow on her visit to Germany. The government will take every initiative to keep prices of commodities to a tolerable level during Ramadan, says Obaidul Qadir. BNP leaders are now under fire from partymen for not taking part in the election, and they will face public wrath if they announce any program during Ramadan, says Foreign Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood. Misinformation and false information must be challenged by true information, says State Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Mohammad Ali Arafat. Israel intensifies bombarding Rafah as World Health Organization terms Gaza the Valley of Death after Israeli attacks. And in BPL cricket, Kumilla Victorians to face Fortune Borishal, while Khulna are to meet Sylhet Strikers at Mirpur tomorrow. That's all from the newsroom for now. Thank you for being with us. If you can, please do join us for our 11:30 news in Bangla. Until then, Khuda Hafiz.